Kuna, thanks for joining me today. It is good to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem. So, what have been your long-standing interest in the field of science?
I guess I would probably say starting in high school, I had a really, really amazing biology teacher who opened my world to like the variety that goes on in science in general. She had us doing projects. I remember bringing in my first presentation on PKU in ninth grade, not realizing now how much we have to talk about it in medical school. But it was the first time I saw such a variety to what science can be. Like you can go down the medicine path. I remember doing dissecting on animals. You can go down with plants. And so it was kind of my first look into that. And then getting further and further along through high school and taking all these different science classes, I was like, oh, this is a cool field. And then finally into college, I was in biochem, and they just shoved a lot of different science classes at you, but it really shows the variety that can go on into kind of how science is.
Okay, so the thing that really, it sounds like you have a diverse interest in the sciences, because you can focus on several different things. And would you say that medicine is providing you that opportunity to engage in a diverse array of studies?
Yes and no in a lot of ways. Like I will never probably again be doing analytical chemistry and seeing lasers and working with GCMSs to like the degree I was before. Mm-hmm. However, it's important to actually know how a lot of that stuff works, because whether or not it's a clinical trial or understanding how a drug was made, or just in general, having a good sense of these things do manifest itself in medicine. Mm-hmm. So maybe not the direct aspects of what I used to do before, but I'm still utilizing it now. And it's helpful to have that background. Oh, yeah. And so that's one nice thing. And then even like I still have the opportunity to do research. So I can still, if I want to get that wet lab experience in medical school, no one said I can only work with patients and never see the medical side, never see the science side of things. I do get that opportunity as well to do that if I want to.
Okay, that's good. So just for the lay people in the audience, how would you, if you had to give a short description, what is PKU? Before we continue, what would you say is PKU?
I actually medical school stuff.
Yeah.
Phenylketonuria. It's like an issue, basically, how you process certain amino acids, such with tyrosine and phenylalanine. Mm-hmm. And so basically the patient, this is something that you can determine early in life. It's a autosomal recessive disease, and so when you do any of the genetic testing at the beginning of when a baby is born, they usually get like what's that thing called? I don't remember. It was like a baby, like when they take some blood from your foot and things like that.
They prick your foot, right?
Thank you. That's the word. Ignore. Yeah. I'll get better with my science terms in a little bit.
It's okay. It's early. It's early.
You can see from there, and then they end up having to just have they can have a very normal quality of life. It's just you're gonna have to modify their diet with the certain types of food, especially meats, because a lot of meats have certain amino acids in it, and you just don't want that to be a situation. So you'll just have to modify their diet to work with that. But when I was in high school, it was just like, it was this and this and this. And then by the time I come to medical school, this is the biochemical understanding what's going on. This is how it's metabolized. But now from a medical standpoint, this is how you treat certain things. Instead of just knowing the science behind it, it's knowing, okay, this is the patient who has this. How you have a care plan for that patient so they can have the best quality of life. So I feel like that's the transition that's kind of gone from what I knew in high school to what I'm supposed to really know now. So you get time to remember things.
So it sounds like it's phenylketonuria, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So the thing I would say is I've had some experiences in that in graduate school, you come to graduate school, I thought I had this understanding of organic chemistry and like chemistry fundamentals in the back of my mind. And then when I come to graduate school, it's like, no, the fundamentals are much bigger than what you expected.
Yeah.
So they're much broader. You need to broaden your base because you have a lot of stuff that you have to build off of.
All the time. And it's just like they keep adding and adding. I'm like, please add. Please.
Yeah, I know what you mean. So how do you maintain view of the bigger picture in your career and in your life in general? Amidst obstacles and challenges, like in this pandemic, how are you seeing the forest through the trees?
So, I mean, I won't lie to you, when this pandemic initially started, I didn't really feel like the brunt of like, I can't leave my house, I can't see people because we were still in the middle of medical school. So, like, everyone else is like, I don't know what to do on the weekends. I don't know how I'm not going to see my family. I literally was like, I have all these things going on. The school was doing a huge, transitioning us to online, figuring out how to do anatomy online. So, it was like a lot of my time was spent troubleshooting how to go on to online, and checking in on my family. Everyone, thank goodness, is really safe. Both my parents work in some aspect of the healthcare field. They are seeing patients. And so it was like, are y'all good? Are you staying good? My dad was like, we wear masks in this house. We wash our hands. And so they were good. And so I just really was focused on school. And so it didn't really hit me at the beginning how isolating this virus has been for people until I finally had my summer break. And then I was like, I'm free from my first year medical school and I can't go anywhere. I literally cannot go anywhere. And so, our school was able to create a really great pandemic medicine elective that we did online. And so I got to see my classmates and hear them talk, but it's just never the same as when you're in person. So it was difficult once I finally was out of this bubble of medical work and like had to kind of focus on that. And it creates, and I'm very lucky, I'd say, because I have roommates. I know I have situations where people don't have roommates, so they're literally in a house by themselves 24/7. And it can make that hard. But I think the hardest thing for me was the fact that the days just kept bleeding. Sometimes I could get up in the morning, I'm like, this is, I don't know, this is Tuesday, this is Thursday. And so you can lose a sense of time and then losing a sense of a schedule. I was so used to going to school from 8 a.m. to this, I'm doing this to this. And we're so built, humans do like that sense of a schedule, having a sense of, you having the next thing to do. And so it was like, I don't know what to do on this random Tuesday after my pandemic elective course ends, because it's 10 o'clock and I have a whole day, and we were figuring out research and things. So it was losing a sense of a schedule first and trying to find one and build back one up. Like the gyms were closed, like figuring out I still need to exercise every day because I'm really now sitting at home, I'm not moving anywhere. And so it was a lot more, instead of, I'd say, academic, figuring it out, because a lot of it was during my summertime. It was my own personal health obstacles to making sure I can still maintain a sense of great mental health because I'm constantly in the house all day, physical health because you're constantly in the house all day, social health, making use of Zoom, or a house party became a really awesome app to use in the summertime. So I could talk to my friends who usually in the summertime I would go and see, like I had trips planned to go and see them. So it was really, I would say that was more of my obstacles. And then coming back into the fall when we started classes again, it was a little different because our school had found a way, but we had certain things that had to be in person. So that kind of gave me my time to see some of my classmates and have a sense of the schedule again. Really to see my classmates again.
I know. I mean, it's just like, so it's a good experience when you can just be with people,
Yes. We're social creatures. And so I'm a really social person. I really know people. Yeah. And so I'm sitting here, I'm like, what am I thinking about? I'm just sitting here thinking of my thoughts. So being able to finally come back to class and then still see people and then have a schedule again really kind of helped to take that blurb of the 2-3 months of the summertime where I can't even tell you about it because I don't even know what happened.
Yeah, I know what you mean. What you mean, because people, when you get to interact with people, especially people who you enjoy hanging out with,
yes,
I think it invigorates you. It revitalizes you, and then also add some weight to what you like. You may be going through a rough time, or you may be going through a good time, but it helps to like sober you up, help you realize either your situation is not as bad as it seems, or like you're not as good as you think you are. So they help to sober you up, definitely. Yes. So how have you been adaptive and creative in the field of science? What has been your creative niche? What did you say? Is it the learning style, the way you approach content?
So I'm one of those trial and error type of people. I feel like I've lived my life since college because my tried and true ways of high school did not work in college. And it's always I kind of learn what I do. And I was never a big group studier at Tech. I don't really feel like I know a lot of other majors, especially engineering. You group studied, you did group projects. I think we had a couple group projects in biochem. So I was never like, gung-ho group study. I had a good friend. We would study through a really difficult class, and it was worth it. But coming to medical school, having to lose this not, I shouldn't even use the word lose, because that's not what you're doing. You're gaining a new experience. Would say it's like I'm losing control on how I'm teaching myself by having someone else teach me. That's not what's going on. You're working together, two minds who have different, points of views or perceptions to how the information is being presented, and sharing and working together is how I consider group studying. I had to get over the idea of it can only just be me, but integrating group studying into how I learn the material, because the way people think about things, the way they say things, the way they come up with phrases to remember things have really helped me in terms of how I take in information and how I can present that information and learn it and retain it. That's, I think, the hardest thing with medical school is they'll give you so much information and you may get it by the quiz time, but 6 months later, if they ask you that same question, like, I don't know. But I still have phrases and things that I remember from my friends speaking to me about, and that's helped me to really conquer taking in lots of information. In terms of I guess that's my way of saying I've adapted. I don't know if I've really put my direct foot into the creations of science just yet. We'll hopefully, do something along the way, but I feel like in terms of how I've learned how to study and how I've learned to really embrace working in groups and taking information and getting it together in a group setting has been something that's worked a lot for me.
Right.
So yeah.
That's good. So are you involved in research?
Yes, I am. So this is research round 2. I was trying to do a little bit different this time. I had my first experience in college and it was different, but now I'm doing research. It's basic science research, looking at corneal wound healing. It was very different from what I initially was thinking, but I wanted to try something out of my fields of interest. I came in very much interested in women's health and still am very interested. So I knew no matter what, I could always do that. But I wanted to delve into something else because medical school has just so many different specialties, just different things to do that I feel like I was doing myself a disservice without trying something different. So I do it with corneal wound healing and looking at how the innate immune system responds to corneal wound healing and how it better make, let me find the better words, it improves or worsens corneal wound healing whenever some type of trauma occurs.
Okay, wow, that sounds deep. So that's like ophthalmology, right?
Yeah.
Ophthalmology.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, how do you maintain a balanced life given all your responsibilities and accomplishments? How have you been trying to maintain a balanced life?
Well, fun fact, you asking me this now, a lot of my responsibilities have actually been removed off my plate. So the way our medical school works is usually during the second half of your first year until the first half of your second year. That's usually when you do a lot of your leadership roles, whether it's for instance, I was a clinic coordinator or doing SNMA, and then they transition it to the next group because by that point in your second year, you typically start studying for the step exam. So you don't have that same amount of time. And then from there, you're going into your third year and on. So right now I have a lot more time, but before I really tried to utilize my Fridays, they were my last Friday in my life. Whether it was hanging out with friends or just taking a moment to breathe. And I just tried to find ways to have fun in between the weeks. Usually Monday through Thursday, it was business only. Unless it was something impromptu or just a really cool meeting going on that I wanted to see, I would typically just try and spend a lot of time focus on studying. And then Fridays and occasionally on the weekends doing other fun things. Usually it was a lot of eating. Augusta, I thought it was a lot of chain restaurants, but I'm learning more and more. They're bringing a lot of new stuff in. And so we did roller skate nights, we would go bowling. So I would just try and make sure if I did my work 9 to 5, Monday through Thursday to make it to that Friday quiz or whatever I was doing, I give myself that time to take a break, or I go on walks after my quiz with my friends. We would just talk about how the quiz went, how the week's going, our goals, or what's the next step that we're doing, just to remind us of outside of medicine, what, who we are as a person.
Yeah. You are very important, especially to us here at the New Chemist podcasting group. You listening in is significant.
Vous êtes très important, surtout pour nous ici au New Chemist Podcasting Group. Votre écoute est significative.
Usted es muy importante, especialmente para nosotros aquí en The New Chemist Podcasting Group. Usted escuchando, es significativo.
Você é muito importante. Especialmente para nós do The New Chemist Podcasting Group. Você ouvindo, é significativo.
Είστε πολύ σημαντικοί, ειδικά για εμάς εδώ στο The New Chemist Podcasting Group. Το να ακούς είναι σημαντικό.
Sie sind sehr wichtig, besonders für uns hier bei The New Chemist Podcasting Group. Es ist wichtig, dass du zuhörst.
Je bent erg belangrijk, vooral voor ons hier bij The New Chemist Podcasting Group. Dat je meeluistert, is veelbetekenend.
You are very important, especially to us here at the New Chemist Podcasting Group. You listening in is significant.